Hello chess friends and welcome to Out of Chess channel and welcome back to our studies in which we're trying to battle against the Rapport-Jobava system, also called the Jobava-London system. So we have started recently the series with the black pieces in which I'm going to show you the different directions, different opportunities for black, how to play against this sometimes very unpleasant and annoying setup. And today I wanted to show a really beautiful game played by Vladislav Artemiev, the Russian Grandmaster, against Hans Moke Niemann back from 2022, in which I think many important strategic concepts will be played here by Vladislav Artemiev. Also very important tactical ideas in an early stage of the game. So in my opinion, this is one of the most instructive games in the Rapport-Jobava system with the black pieces. It's sort of a cornerstone that you can use, and from that point on you can of course spread your wings, you can of course spread the opening, you can of course dive into different directions, dive into different opportunities for both sides of course. But as I said, this I think is very beautiful game which shows the basic problems but also the basic opportunities here for black against the Rapport-Jobava system. So let's see now what happened. As I said, if you are having trouble, if you're having problems against the Rapport-Jobava system but also against the common London system, here's the link of our playlist so far. You can check it out. I think you can have a great preparation against this very annoying setups by white. So let's see now the Rapport-Jobava system played by Hans Moke Niemann against Vladislav Artemiev. So here Hans opened with the move d4. Vladislav Artemiev's response was d5, knight to c3, knight to f6 first of all, as I recommended also in our introduction video, simply controlling the e4 square. First of all, now comes the move bishop to f4, which becomes now the Rapport-Jobava, the Jobava-London system move, with the preparation to hit the square c7 with the move knight to b5. Now my recommendation, as I also mentioned before, is to play the move a6. It's a calm move, preventing knight to b5, but also preparing b5. We want to play b5, c5, c4, b4, e6, of course, supporting with the bishop the powerful attack on this side of the board. That's now the main strategic goal for black. That's now our goal, simply fast attack here on the queen side. So here comes now the tricky move e3. I've mentioned this move also in our intro video, how to play against the Jobava-London system. This e3 move is leading into very wild preparations by white to hit the king side immediately, because now the queen, like when we play e6 and we're supporting our attack on the queen side with the bishop, white wants to do the same. He's playing e3 and he's trying of course to play something like g4, h4, g5, h5, but so far this square is taken by the knight and the bishop, so it gives us a little bit more time to expand a little bit more faster here on our side of the board. So that's why my recommendation is also to go first of all with the move b5. E6 here by black would not be a mistake or something, but I think then white can go immediately into this aggressive method with the move g4. So after move e3 and b5 that we play now, here Hans Moke Niemann tried to play the move h4. He's trying of course to do this kind of attack further, but g4 is not possible, so that's why he's using now a simply different pawn move in order to expand also on his side of the board. So now we play h6. Here knight to f3 was played by Hans Moke Niemann, and now again this idea with the move e6 and then to hit the center with the move c5. That's now again the basic goal. And the cool part about this setup by Vladislav Artemiev was now again after move knight to f3, again no immediate g4 opportunities are there. So that's why first of all what Hans had to do in order to make his g4 goal is to play the move knight to e5. But you see now he lost a knight move, then he had to play a second time with the knight in order just to make this g4 work. So as I said, that's the beauty about this delaying move in the beginning. Let's go back. As I said, when he plays e3, we delay, we play b5, g4 is not possible, he had to play h4. Now we play h6, knight to f3, again we have a control of the g4. Now it's possible, g4 is again not possible, and now he has to play another tempo. So it's a little bit loss of time here for white in order just to make a tiny little pawn move. So that's why here of course Artemiev expands immediately here on the queen side. And when we think about this opposite side attack opportunities, I think even black is slightly faster in his attack. I think we can agree, because look at this, we have here already 3 advanced pawns on this side of the board. We have a flexibility to hit b4, c4 and similar stuff. White needs to make progress in the further continuation of the opening stage. So that's why, as I said, it seems to me that although it's an equal game. Black won the tiny little first battle in the opening stage. So here g4 was played finally by Hans Moke Niemann. We have knight to d7 by Artemiev, challenging simply the powerful knight on e5. Hans retreats, and now knight to c6 here by Vladislav Artemiev. He's simply controlling now further the e5 square. So great protection of this annoying square, great expansion on the queen side so far. Black has at least equalized the game. Black should be, I think, even slightly better. Very instructive game here by Vladislav Artemiev, how to battle in the beginning, using many strategic concepts in order to battle against this Jobava-London system. So here bishop to g2, we have b4. Look at this. Artemiev is already here. Artemiev is already attacking the queen side. We have knight to e2, a5, simply expanding on the side where we are better. Of course, here on the queen side, we have knight to g3, and you see many repositions, many improvements, but you never did something. You never attacked really. Okay, Hans has here a powerful attack with the minor pieces, has also an expansion, but what you should not do, of course, and it would be a suicide, is to castle into White's attack. You should never really castle now on this side of the board, because White will be destroyed with the minor piece activity, with the pawn activity. So staying with the king in the center, believe me or not, is here perfectly fine, because there's no way that this center is going to open. e4 cannot be played also here, because queen to b6 is going to happen. Then we have a great grip around the square d4. So it's very hard for White to make any center breakthroughs here. That's the most important thing to say. So as I said, staying with the king in the center in this position is perfectly fine. Don't castle king side. Maybe if something happens, you could castle queen side, but you have to first secure that this bishop is off the board, because if you castle queen side somehow, in some ways, if you manage to do that, I'm not sure how you're going to do that, but this bishop would be very dangerous. So be careful where you're going with your king, because as I said, with the king in the center, you're perfectly fine. C takes d4, we have e takes d4. We have now here the problems of the light square bishop here by Vladislav Artemiev. The blocked out pawn structure here, e6 d5, is not allowing this bishop to breathe. But now after move bishop to a6, look at this beautiful positional move by Artemiev. He found a nice way how to include the bishop into the game, and that's the way to go. Otherwise, this bishop will stay there on c8 forever. Even if you develop it to b7, still it's blocked out by its own pawn structure, so it wouldn't be the optimal square for the piece. So now after bishop to a6, at least the bishop is having this diagonal. It's attacking many squares, and of course it's preventing also maybe here White from kingside castling. Great positional moves here by Artemiev. Bishop to f1. Here Hans played against this bishop, but now queen to b6, normal development. Bishop to e2, bishop takes e2, knight takes e2, and now after move knight to f6 here, Artemiev has the opportunity to occupy the weak square on e4. This is the way to go. We have rook to g1, trying of course the breakthrough idea with the move g5. Here we have bishop to e7, queen to d3, and now a4. Here Artemiev simply continues with his plan that he started in the beginning with this concept a6 b5 c5. You see, now we're already having sort of a minority attack. We have an attack where we're attacking with two of our pawns against three pawns of White. What we're trying to do is of course to provoke some kind of a weakness. We're trying to provoke maybe a pawn weakness, maybe where after a couple of trades of pawns we're trying to get White here an isolated pawn, maybe an isolated b pawn or c pawn, and then attack it, or we're trying to at least provoke some weak squares. And look at this, how Vladislav Artemiev did that. After bishop to e3, queen to a6, good choice, I think, even to force the further trades of queens, because when we are having the king in the center like this, of course, we don't want to play with the queens, because then the king could be always in danger. Trading off the queens is also perfectly fine strategy. Then still we have our goal: knight to e4, rook to c8, of course attacking the c2 pawn, maybe even play something strange, but very effective, I think, would be also king to d7, and then rook from h to c8. We could then have both of the rooks on very active files, but also the king secured on d7, because the e5 square is of course protected also by the knight on c6, so no checks could be possible. And that's exactly how Artemiev will play now the game, with different opportunities here for him. So here rook to c1, we have now knight to e4, knight to g3. Not maybe the good move here by Hans. Maybe a trade of queens was slightly better, but as I said, if you do that, then of course again the rook is coming actively into the game. Knight to g3, as we said, a3. Good move by Artemiev. As I said, with his minority attack, it's our goal to create at least a weak pawn or a weak square. Now after a3, b3, look at this, there are now many squares. d2 weak, c3 weak, b2 weak. What we want to do is, of course, to get our knight on c3 here and attack simply here the pawn on a2. Now Hans Moke Niemann has to play a passive move. Here Artemiev finally takes, queen takes d3, and after c takes d3, here we have king to d7 as promised. Here now the king comes on a beautiful square, nothing wrong with this position. The knight can of course hop on e4, but then would simply take it out. This knight is too powerful in the continuation of the game. Look at this. Here after move b3, what instead of this move b3 that we have talked about when Vladislav Artemiev played the move a3, what Hans could have played is maybe this line, knight to e4, but the issue is this line. After queen to d3, c takes d3, and a takes b2, first of all, what we're getting is an attack against the rook. That's the issue. Hans never could take out now the knight on here on e4. You have to play now something like rook to b1, but now look at this. After d takes e4, you have to again play a reaction. You have to play d takes e4, and now black will simply take out now this weak pawn. In my opinion, this is not a good continuation. Again, we play something like king to d7, or even kingside castling is now an opportunity. Get our rooks on the a file, maybe get this other rook on the c file. Again, a devastating position here for white. So that's why here from b3, as we said, and after knight to c3, rook to a1 was played now by Hans Moke Niemann. Queen takes d3, we have c takes d3, but now we have a double pawn structure. This knight is active. This knight is controlling this one. As I said, here Vladislav played a beautiful calm move, king to d7, connected now everything here, and has still a great grip around the square. e5, we have here king to d2, rook from h to c8. As I said, that's now our goal, supporting the powerful knight on c3, and also keeping this rook on the a file. So okay, knight to e2, challenging now the knight on c3, knight takes e2, king takes e2, and now another brilliant move here by Artemiev, beautiful position move with the preparation to play knight to b5, and then again occupy the weak c3 square. We have rook from g to c1, knight to b5 as promised, bishop to d2. We have now king to e8, very nice move, because if you play something like bishop to d6, then the problem is now knight to e5 comes always with a check. Now after king to e8, of course, now you cannot play knight to e5 because this pawn is hanging. So as I said, it's a little bit different, so that's why after king to e8, here we have king to e3 by Hans Moke Niemann, bishop to d6, trying of course now to play very active with the bishop, trying maybe somehow to break and enter with f6, or maybe then afterwards with e5, supporting simply our attack in the center of the board. We have now knight to e1, a mistake here by Hans Moke Niemann. Maybe it was better for him to play the move h5, trying to somehow do sort of a paralysis on this side of the board. Maybe rook to g1 finally with the move g5, something, at least to do something on this side of the board. But now after knight to e1, Artemiev played a beautiful g5 move. That's the way to go with the preparation to play bishop to f4. We have h takes g5, h takes g5. Now Hans played again knight to c2 in order to protect now his pawn on d4. If he plays something like king to f3, then of course here the pawn is hanging. If you don't react correctly, then again bishop to f4 could happen. For instance, you could try maybe knight to f3 here to protect the pawn, but look at this, what happens. We simply pick up this one, attack the king. You have to step back. Now we play knight to c3. You have to play bishop takes c3. We simply grab the rook. If you play here something like bishop to f4, pardon me, after a check, you have to step back, maybe here to e1 or f1, and now we can of course simply trade off the bishops, take out now this pawn on a2, and again get to c3, push this pawn further. Again, a devastating position here for white. So after move knight to c2, now Artemiev found a beautiful tactical shot. Rook takes c2. This is the way to go. Bishop to f4. Now he got the fork here on d4, takes out now the rook on c2, delivers a check. First of all, occupies the only open file. Now he trades off the bishops. That's the way to go. It's more correct to first occupy the file and then to trade off the bishops. Now we have a competition on the c file, of course, and it's, I think, in top GM level. Of course, this is game over for white. Look at this. After king to d2, king to e7, here Artemiev includes now his king into the game. Now the pawn gets attacked, but Artemiev protects it very easily. Rook to h8, trying to get somehow the rook behind, but Artemiev's king is much closer to the action. Even if you try something like, I don't know, to get the king here, then there's always the problem of the check on c2 attacking the weak pawn on a2. We have rook to b8, Artemiev takes, we have rook to b4, king to f3. And what should you do? Even if you go here for the pawn on a3, of course, black is much faster. You can pick it up, but now we simply push this pawn further. We have a clear path for this one on the g file. We can simply push it further. You have to sacrifice now the rook, and now after a couple more moves, we can stop, of course, the pawn storm like this. We simply pick up this one. So the pawns are knocked on the 6th rank. If this pawns would somehow reach the 6th rank, then of course this could be messy for black, but this is simply too far away from the action. The pawns are too far away from a potential promotion. This is not working. So after move king to f3, here we have a rook to b8 by Hans Moke Niemann g4. We have now the move b4, king takes f2, again the clear path for the pawn. After move b5 and g3, b6 and rook to e7. In this position, Hans Moke Niemann resigns. So you can of course only play maybe further with the pawn, but you can never deliver this unpleasant check in order to promote. Then of course the check comes with an extra tempo, then you could promote, but the f file is locked by the pawn on f7. And as I said, now we have a clear path. If you go of course like this, then again we just pick up now the pawn on b7. Again we'll simply play g2 g1. The game is over here for white. Great game by Vladislav Artemiev, I think. Beautiful, spectacular positional setup in the beginning, battling it out without complications. I like also this concept that you should not forget with this move bishop to a6. This is a well-known motif, a well-known idea, how to include finally the light square bishop into the game. It's very important to push this pawns further on a5, on b4, so you don't want to have somehow this pawns behind this bishop. Now when we have an expansion, then you have bishop to a6, and finally this bishop is coming into the game. So Artemiev played, I think, really a nice positional game against this annoying Jobava-London system, in my opinion. Beautiful, instructive game. As I said, you can use it as your cornerstone. Of course, white doesn't have to play the game like this, but you should then study different directions, different opportunities. But this could be really sort of a guiding line opening theory here by Vladislav Artemiev. So, okay, I hope that you enjoyed this game. I really enjoyed it a lot. If you want to see more about our preparation, how to beat the London system and how to beat the Jobava-London system, here's the link of our playlist. Please check it out. I think you can have a great preparation against these types of structures. So what do we say at the end? Chess is the best, of course.